So, online students, my voice is audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, we'll start with lecture 13 today, which is modeling using recurrence relation. Okay, we'll see what recurrence relations are. So, any doubts up till now in lecture 1 to 12? Anything that is not clear? So, you can ask if you have any doubts up till now or any topic that you have not understood. Everything is clear? Abhi tak? Okay. Uh, so let's see. So recursively defined functions, a recursive or inductive definition of a function consists of two steps. First is basis step. So specify the value of function at 0, and first step is the basis step, as we have seen in the mathematical induction. So first step is the basis step and second is a recursive step. So in recursive step, you give a rule for finding its value at an integer from its values at smaller integers. We will see how and what does this definition means by examples. So this is first example. Suppose f is defined by f0 is equals to 3 and fn plus 1 is equals to 2 times fn plus 3. So a recursive function is a function that's calling itself. Okay. Now fn plus 1 is equals to 2 times fn plus 3. So what is the need of f0 is equals to 3? Because at some point of time we need to stop this algorithm recursively, right? So f0 is equals to 3. Now f1 is equals to, you'll put values n is equals to 0, you can calculate f1. So f1 is equals to 2 times f0 plus 3, right? And you already know f0. So you need to have some constant where you start your recursion. Okay. And when you write recursive algorithms, you need to go back to basic step. Okay. Similarly, you can calculate f1, f2, f3, f4, and so on. Now, what is the recursive definition of factorial function, n factorial? So what would be the recursive definition? Basic step would be factorial of 0. What is factorial of 0? 1. And next step would be, recursive step would be, how you will calculate f1, factorial of 1. Factorial of 0 into 1, right? How you will calculate factorial of 2? Factorial of 1 into 2, right? And how you will calculate factorial of 3? 3 into factorial of 2. So this is recursive definition. So factorial of n is equals to n into factorial of n minus 1. Correct. Right? Sorry, n plus 1. Basically, we are talking about n and n minus 1. So they have written n plus 1 and n. 1 and the same thing. Okay, na? So we were saying fn is equals to fn minus 1 into n. And they are saying fn plus 1 is equals to n plus 1 into fn. 1 and the same thing, right? Now, recursively defined functions. Okay, so recursive definition of summation of 0 to n. Now, first number from 0 to n would be 0. So what would be the summation of 0? Summation of 0 is 0 itself, a0. Right? Summation of first ak would be a0. And the second part is uh, summation of 0 to n plus 1 would be summation of 0 to n plus a0. An plus 1, sorry. Right? This is also again a recursive definition of summation. Okay. Now Fibonacci numbers. What are Fibonacci numbers? You start from 0 and 1 and you keep on adding those numbers. 0 plus 1 is 1, then 1 plus 1 is 2, then 1 and so on. So you know Fibonacci numbers? No? Yes. Okay. So F0 is equals to 0 and F1 is 1. So this is predefined. These two are basis step. Second step is F2. So F2 is equals to 0 plus 1. And F3 is equals to previous 2. Okay. So this is the recursive definition. So F3 is equals to F2 plus F1 and so on. So Fibonacci series is 0, 1, then 1. So 1 occurs twice, right? So 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5. This is Fibonacci series and so on. Clear hai online students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, recursively defined sets and structures. So recursive definition of sets have two parts. First is basis step, specifies an initial collection of elements. And second is recursive step, which gives the rules for forming new elements in the set from those already known to be in the set. Sometimes the recursive definition has exclusion rule. Now, again, we can talk about this recursive definition in terms of sets. And in terms of sets, again, those two things are there. Okay, you have a basic step, initial collection of elements, and then you have a recursive step, which gives the rules for forming new elements in the set. Okay, using all the previous elements. Now, again, recursively defined sets and structures. Subsets of integers S. Now, basis step 3 belongs to S, and recursive step says x plus y is in S. So any number x plus y belong to set S. Okay, so subset of to all the subset of integers. So integer values are there 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And its subset also belong to set of integers. You have to prove this. So basic step is uh, you have any element 3 that belongs to set S, and then recursive step is you just keep on adding, and that number also belongs to set S. Similar thing goes with the natural numbers. Now strings. So anyone knows what this summation symbol represents over here? Summation of all? Actually, not really. Over here in automata theory, you are going to study automata theory later on in the subject. That is very important subject because it is always asked, it's a core computer science subject, automata theory, or uh, you are going to learn about formal languages. Okay, so that in that subject or in that area, what we represent sigma is using alphabet. Now what a alphabet is? Suppose uh, our language is English. Okay, so what is alphabet? A to Z, right? Small letters and lowercase and uppercase, right? So my alphabet is for English languages all set of A to Z, and then lowercase and uppercase both, right? So that is my alphabet. So sigma is equals to A, B, C, D up to Z, right? So alphabet is basically all those elements from which my language is forming. Set of strings are forming, okay? My language has words, right? So if I'm speaking something, it is having words, and those words are made of strings, right? Strings plus some characters are also there. Spaces are there between words, full stops, commas, etc. So everything is included in alphabet. Okay. Now sigma over here represents alphabet. Okay. So suppose I say sigma is equals to 0, comma 1. Okay. So set of strings that would be generated from 0 and 1 is, first would be your empty string, second would be 0, third would be 1, Fourth would be 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, then 0, 0, 0, and so on, right? So these are the possible set of strings that could generate from 0 and 1 alphabet. So sigma represents 0, 1. Okay, and sigma star represents the complete language that is having all the possible combinations of those strings. Okay, so first string was your empty string, second would be your sorry 0, third would be your 1, fourth would be your 0, 0, and so on. Okay, so sigma star represents all the possible combinations. Okay, now this is clear. Now lambda over here represents the empty string. In case of subsets or sets, we represent empty string using phi. Okay, so phi means empty. So that is one and the same thing. So either you can use lambda or you can use epsilon. Epsilon symbol is there. So that symbol also can be used for representing the empty string. So this is the symbol, epsilon. Somewhere, if in automata theory you are seeing epsilon, that also means empty string. So if you concatenate some string with epsilon, you will get the same string. Okay, that is the meaning of empty string. Okay, so basic step says, now I hope the alphabet is clear and epsilon or this lambda is clear. You can also write lambda or you can write epsilon, one and the same thing. Okay, now this basis step. So lambda belongs to sigma star, yes or no? Yes. First element, first string that is in sigma star is epsilon, that is lambda, right? So yes, that belongs. Now, second step is the recursive step. So if W is in a sigma star and we concatenate any W with X, so then X is in sigma. So X is what? X is one symbol. So that can be either null or A or B. Because I was talking about 0, 1, so that could be null, 0 or 1. Only three values are there in sigma, not in sigma star, in sigma, right? Now, W is in sigma star, that means it would be having 0, 0, 0, 1, and all the possible combinations of zeros and ones, right? If you concatenate, if you pick out one string from sigma star, maybe 0, 1, 0, 1, okay? And you concatenate it with a symbol, alphabet, that is X. That alphabet can be 0 or it can be 1. So that also belongs to sigma star. That is true, right? 0, 1, 0, 1 was, suppose I have picked from sigma star, and from sigma, suppose I have picked 1. So what would be WX? 0, 1, 0, 1 and 1, right? 0, 1, 0, 1, 1. Now this string would also belong to sigma star, right? True? So this is the recursive definition. Okay, so every time you pick, because you have started from epsilon, you say that epsilon belongs to sigma star. And whenever you concatenate this epsilon with any alphabet, 0 or 1, either 0 or 1, you will again get a number or string that belongs to sigma star. Now, this is what is represented over here in the points. Now, first point says, so example is given to you. So alphabet is A and B. Okay, now you have to show that AAB is in sigma star. Now, because first of all, basis step is empty string belongs to sigma star. You concatenate empty string with A. Okay, so you concatenated this first alphabet with this lambda. What you will get is A. Okay, and that also belongs to sigma star. Now again, you have concatenated this A that you have received in the previous step with A, you will get, and so on. Clear? So this is recursive definition. This is clear to everyone? Any doubt? Okay, similarly, length of string. So length of empty string is null, that is 0. Length of, and you, whenever you concatenate it with one alphabet, its length would increase by 1. So that is your recursive definition. So length of WX over here is length of W plus 1 alphabet length, right? Now balanced parenthesis, again the same. So initially that would be your parenthesis, left and right parenthesis. And in the recursive step, if you concatenate this parenthesis with any W is again a parenthesis. So if you keep on concatenating multiple parentheses, so that would also belong to uh, balanced parenthesis set, right? Now structural induction. To prove a property of, so again we have seen how sets induction work. Similar thing happens with structural induction. To prove a property of elements of a recursively defined set, we use structural induction. Basis step: show that the results hold for all the elements specified in the basis step of the recursive definition. Again the same thing, okay. Then recursive step: show that if the statement is true for each element used to construct a new element in the recursive step. So we define a basis step and then we reconstruct, keep on reconstructing using recursive step. Uh, Now validity of this is how we show that this induction is valid. We use mathematical induction. We have studied mathematical induction in last class. So to prove the validity, we use mathematical induction. Now example is given over here. Now a question is, show that the set S defined by specifying 3 belongs to S, and that if X belongs to S and Y belongs to S, then X plus Y also belongs to S, is the set of all positive integers that are multiples of 3. So question is, suppose you have one integer that is a multiple of 3 and you add another integer which is also a multiple of 3, then you will get something that is also a multiple of 3, okay. After adding two multiples of 3, you will get something that is also a multiple of 3. How you will prove it? You will prove it using mathematical induction. So basic step in mathematical induction, if you could recall, is first of all we calculate P1, right? First step is, so P1 is 3, so 3 belongs to S, that is true. And second step is we assume that Pk belongs to S, and we will prove that Pk plus 1 is also true using Pk, right? That is what we do in mathematical induction. Now Pk belongs to S, that means Pk belongs to S, that is Pk is having some number 3 into K. That is why it's divisible by 3, right? And if Pk belongs to S, now we have to prove that some Pk plus 1 is true. Okay. Now if you check Pk plus 1, if you are adding one number, okay, so by the second part over here, 3k belongs to S, you have assumed this. Now 3 belongs to S, so 3k plus 3 plus 3 is coming from Pk plus 1, P of k plus 1, right? We want to prove that P of k plus 1 is also belonging to this set where it is also a multiple of 3, right? So so that is, we want to prove that 3 times whole k plus 1 is also belonging to S plus 1. Now because we know 3k is already belonging to Pk, that means and 3 also is also belonging to that multiples of set of S, that means Pk plus 1 is true. Okay, so we always start from left hand side and we keep on putting values and we say, okay, uh, okay, this proof is, this assumption was correct that Pk is true. ठीक है ना? So this is clear. This is how we use mathematical induction. Similarly, in the next example, uh, okay, so similarly, if in exam you are asked like for mathematical, how you will prove that this is statement is true, you will use mathematical induction. Okay, first of all, define a basic step that can be having P1, P0 depending upon the problem, and then you will define a recursive step. You assume Pk is true, and then you keep on proving that Pk plus 1 is true. ठीक है? Similarly, you have full binary trees. Now, any one of you have some idea about trees? You have studied trees? No. Data structures you have studied? Yes. नहीं पढ़ा है. अच्छा. So in data structures, you will read about array, linked list. Okay, so you have heard about linked list or array? Okay. सब्जेक्ट अभी चल रहा है और ट्रीज तक नहीं पहुंचे हैं, ऐसा? ओके. ठीक है, तो अब आप डेटा स्ट्रक्चर्स में ट्रीज पढ़ोगे. बहुत ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक है और गेट के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से तो है ही इम्पॉर्टेंट, एग्जाम के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से इम्पॉर्टेंट है. आपके फ्यूचर में आई थिंक जितने कोडिंग क्वेश्चंस होते हैं जितने भी आएंगे वो सब उसमें मोस्टली ट्रीज यूज होता है. ठीक है, तो ट्रीज बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट और बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग टॉपिक है. ठीक है, अच्छे से पढ़ना है इसको. अब फुल बाइनरी ट्रीज, इसमें क्या है? देखो, बाइनरी से पता चल रहा है, बाइनरी मीन्स 2. ठीक है, तो ऐसा ट्री जिसके 2 चाइल्ड हो, दैट इज कॉल्ड अ बाइनरी. मैक्सिमम 2 हो, 0 भी हो सकता है, 1 भी हो सकता है, 2 भी हो सकता है. And how does a tree look like? Because you have some idea about what can you say, like आपको linked list थोड़ा बहुत पता है, तो इसीलिए I'll just draw how online students you can see this paint.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so suppose there is a node and then you have 2 child. Okay, and then you have 2 child, and then maybe you have only left child and not right child. So this is also a binary tree. Okay, so binary tree is nothing, you just store the data over this node, you store data over here, over here, over here. At all the nodes you store data, plus you also store the pointer to the next node. So at every node you store 2 pointers because it's a binary tree. So you store the pointer to the left child and you store the pointer to the right child. So this is the overview of tree. Okay, now full binary tree. So height of a full binary tree is recursively defined as follows. Now basic step. So in basic step, so you have just one node, right? So this one. So height is 1, right? Height of this tree is if T1 and T2 are full binary trees, then full binary tree T is equals to T1 dot T2 has height 1 plus max of height of T1 and max of height of T2. So this statement, you are able to get it. Height of tree T is 1 plus max of T1 and T2. And what is T1 and T2? T1 is left child and T2 is right child. This statement is clear. How this 1 plus? Because 1 is the present tree, present whatever it is having, right? Plus the height of left subtree and right subtree. Clear? Now have a look at this example. So height of this is 1. Okay, now you have another tree having 1 node and 2 node. Now height of this would be 1 plus 1 plus max of height of left and max of, so I represent height by pink color. So this is 1, height is 1. Okay, height of this node is 1 and 1 plus max of T1 and T2, T1 and T2. So what is T2? T2 doesn't exist and height of T1 is 1, right? So total height would be 1 plus 1, that is 2. Clear? And height of this tree, if I'm saying is, height of this tree is how much? 2, right? Height of this tree is, if I'm saying is 2. So I can say this whole tree is 2, right? How we can calculate the height of this node? This node. Suppose I number it A, height of node B. So height of node B would be 1 plus max of 1 comma right? So height of B would be 1 plus max of height of left subtree, which is 1, and height of right subtree, which is 2. So what would be the height? 1 plus max of 1 comma 2. What is max of 1 comma 2? 2. So total would be 1 plus 2, that is 3. So height of B is 3. Clear? So online students, this thing is clear to everyone? And what is the height of A? 4. 1 plus max of 1 comma 3, right? Online students, are you able to get this? Anyone?
Ma'am, can you please repeat?
Okay. So from which part this thing is not clear? कहाँ से समझ में नहीं आया?
Ma'am, why B is coming out to be 3?
Sorry?
And why B is coming out to be 3?
Why B is coming out to be 3. Okay. So height of any node, we just use this formula. 1 plus height of B, I'm writing over here, B is equals to 1 plus max of T1, comma T2. My writing is very bad over here, but I hope you can understand, like this is T1 and this is T2, comma, this is comma. Okay. So this is height, right? And what is T1? Which node is T1? C, D, E, okay, and F. I have given numbers to the nodes. So what is T1? Which node is T1? For B. D node is T1, right? Left subtree of B. And right subtree of B is EF. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So whosoever has asked this question, I think Nana.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is clear?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So T1, height of T1 is 1 and T2 is 2. So max of T1, 1 and 2 is 2. So 1 plus 2 is 3. So height of B is 3. Similarly, height of A is 4. Okay. So this is what recursive definition over here is given. Okay. So 1 plus height of left subtree and right subtree. Now, structural induction and binary trees. Use structural induction. If T is a full binary tree, then NT is less than is equals to 2 to the power HT plus 1 minus 1. So what is NT? Now, if you have a look at this tree, so what is the maximum number of nodes a tree can be having? So if you look at this tree only, this part, this one, so it is having only one node, okay, and height is 1. So what is the formula they are saying? They are saying if it is having only one node, so maximum number of childs that it is having is less than is equals to 2 to the power 1 plus 1, that is 2 to the power 2 minus 1. Okay. So for example, over here, if you have a tree, so maximum number of nodes over here of height 2 would be 3, right? Maximum number of nodes in a tree of height this would be 7. So 1 less than 2 to the power 3. Okay. So number of nodes it is asking. So if at every level, okay, so over here 1 less than 2 to the power 1, 1 less than 2 to the power 2, 1 less than 2 to the power 3. Right? Correct? So that is what you have to prove using induction. Okay? Now, because you can see over here, they are consisting of height of initial tree as 0. Okay? So that is why they have written 2 to the power 0 plus 1, 2 to the power 1 minus 1. So if you are having one node, so they are saying height is 0. Starting they have used height is 0. So that is why they have written 2 to the power height of tree plus 1. If they have taken height from 1, so that would be, this would be 2 to the power ht minus 1 only, right? Okay. Now you have to prove this. Now this thing is clear. If we have one height, only 0 height, we will say only one node. That would be 2 to the power 1 minus 1. That is 1 number of nodes. If you are having height 1, that is you are having 2 levels. Okay, so you are having maximum 3 nodes. That is 2 to the power, how much? 2 to the power 1 plus 1 minus 1, right? 2 to the power 2, that is 4 minus 1. Clear? This thing is clear? Now, recursive step, at recursive step, we know that nt is equals to 1 plus nt plus 1 plus nt2. Number of nodes in a tree would be present node plus number of nodes in the left subtree and number of nodes in the right subtree, right? That is true. And we know that this is 2 to the power ht plus 1 minus 1. And right hand side is 2 to the power height of t2 plus 1 minus 1. Right? And this would be 1 plus this and this would be maximum of 2 into maximum of either of them. Why maximum? Because it can be happening like in left subtree only one children is there, in right subtree no children is there. And it can be having like if left subtree 3 child are there, over here if you see the example, okay, so if you look at node B, okay, so left subtree is having only one node and right subtree is having 2 nodes. Okay, so how we will calculate is we will take maximum of them. Okay, so over here, so 2 into maximum of height, whichever height. So if you are having only one node in the left subtree, and if you are having 1, 2, 3, 4, and multiple, children's in multiple levels, so you will consider the height of that one which is having more number of sub-childs, right? So 2 times maximum of height of T1 or T2. Either T1 is having more height or T2 would be having more height. So you will consider the height of that subtree which is bigger, right? And you will calculate this value, okay? And you will finally, what you will find out? You will find out something. So this is, you have just taken maximum of T1 and T2, and you have calculated 2 into something. This BT is original tree, okay? And then minus 1 was already there over here. Okay, so in recursive step, you have not done anything. You have just applied T1 and T2, and you are saying that height of T is dependent upon height of T1 and height of T2. So this is recursive definition, just like Fibonacci series. In Fibonacci series, we have n minus 1 and n minus 2. Here we are having T1 and T2 recursively, okay? And whichever height is maximum, we are taking that one. And we say, okay, the present height is, because we know the height of T1, we know the height of T2 using a basic step, right? Now we are saying that height of T is calculated using T1 and T2. Okay, maximum of either of the T1 and T2. Okay, so this is recursive definition again on binary tree. This is clear? Okay, so algorithm is called recursive if it solves a problem by reducing it to some smaller input. Okay, so we have a bigger tree. We have a bigger tree of, let's say, height 5, but we are reducing it to height 0, and we are starting from maybe 5, we are reducing to 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Okay, 0 is the root node. Okay, recursive factorial algorithm. So this thing you have already programmed, you have already done, right? N into factorial n minus 1. You are just calling factorial function with n minus 1 inputs, and you have a basic step, basic condition. If n is equals to 0, then return 1. Otherwise, what you will do, you will keep on calling n minus 1. Right? This algorithm is clear to everyone? You have already done in C programming, I guess. Okay. Then exponentiation is a similar thing. Okay, so first of all, if n is equals to 0, so 2 to the power 0. If number was 2, n is equals to 2. 2 to the power 0 is 1. Okay, and 2 to the power 1 is 2 into 2 to the power 0. So 2 into power function of n minus 1, a to the power n minus 1. Clear? Online students, these are clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If you face any difficulty anywhere, let me know. Okay. So GCD algorithm, this is again same like you just have a greatest common divisor. If a is equals to 0, then you return b. Greatest common divisor with 0 would be b, right? And then GCD of b mod a and a. You keep on calling this recursively. Then similarly, binary search. Now you have studied binary search. Okay, so I think this is clear to everyone. In binary, can any one of you explain what is the initial condition for binary search? Suppose I have number 157 or 15723. So what is the initial condition for, can we apply binary search on this?
No, ma'am. First, arrange the array in the ascending order.
Very
Sort
good.
the array.
Very good. So first of all, we should be having an array of sorted numbers. Then only we can apply binary search. Okay. Now what binary search search does is, because we have a sorted algorithm, we just pick out the middle element, which is I plus j by 2. If I have an array of 1 to 5, so 1 plus 5 by 2, 6. That is 6 by 2, that is 3. So I just pick out third number. And if I was searching for that third number, I will stop the algorithm. If I was not searching for that third number, I will reduce my j from 1 to 2. Right? If I was searching for number which was less than the third number, so I will reduce my j from 1 to 2. And if my number that I was searching was greater than m, I would increase my I to m plus 1, to middle number plus 1, and j would be the last number, right? So that would be 4 and 5. Clear? This algorithm is clear, and I keep on recursively reducing this array. So this is what is written over here. Binary search, I keep on calling I to m minus 1 and m plus 1 to j. If number was greater than this, if number was less than this part. Okay. So this is clear to everyone. Now proving that this is correct, how you will prove it? So you will prove it using mathematical induction. So in mathematical induction, power of a 0 is 1. So this is your basic step. You assume that pk is true. So power of a to the power k is equals to ak is true. You have assumed. And you will calculate a to the power k plus 1. And you start from a to the power k plus 1, which is equals to a into power of ak, right? And power of ak is a to the power k, which you will get a to the power k plus 1. Okay. So from left hand side, you have reached to right hand side. This is clear? Okay. So now you have one thing recursion, another thing you have iteration. So because we always do things using loop, for I is equals to 1 to n. So I can also calculate factorial using loops, right? I will multiply n into I, and I keep on I reducing from n to j, while for I is equals to n to I less than equal to 1, and I would say I minus minus. And then what I will do is I keep on multiplying this I with n every time. I basically factorial value every time, right? And I will say this is recursive definition of factorial. Another definition is I keep on calling a recursive function, factorial, fact. I keep on calling that on n minus 1. And whenever it reaches to maybe 1, I will print 1. Okay. So this is the recursive algorithm for Fibonacci. So in recursive function, you have been calling Fibonacci number. Yes, some discussion over there. Discussing something. Okay, so this is recursive algorithm where you keep on calling Fibonacci function. And second is your iterative algorithm where you use loops. Okay, so it is said that recursive algorithm take memory space because you are storing image of function every time in the memory, right? It takes so much space. Plus, there is computation overhead. You are calling that function again and again. But in iterative algorithm, so it is there's no computation overhead. You are just changing the values in the variables, right? In recursive algorithm, you are calling that function. So there is so much overhead for keep on calling it, for saving the previous memory, right? You are saving previous function, calling another function, executing it, then going back over there. So too much computation overhead. Now, last is merge sort. So you have studied merge sort? No. Okay. So in data structures, this is one of the most important sorting algorithms. Okay. So merge sort is nothing. You are just sorting the numbers. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 numbers or maybe 10 numbers are given to you. So can we discuss this in next class, because I think time's already up. Okay. So we'll start from merge sort in the next class. I'll just mark the attendance. So today's lecture is clear. Any doubt, anything?